Who ready? We ready. Who ready? We ready. Who ready? Who? We ready. Who? Who ready? Who? We ready. Who? Motivation to youth only. Mentally feel like Kobe. I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me. I don't care if you're pushing 40. You can never little bro me. You're on step like Ginobili. From young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats. Circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's the reach. We ready. Who ready?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I'm Mr. Bennett. Hopefully, I'll be joined by most of my team today. I think I got the coach in the back. Coach, are you there, sir? How are you doing? Hopefully, you'll hear me in a minute, but we're just getting the crew together here. But certainly good to have you guys on with us tonight. We're going to ask, certainly, as you come in tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you come in. Helps the stream. And if you consider dropping any cash apps, certainly to the Black Man Unfiltered Network, certainly consider doing so there. Drop a cash app or a super chat. So it'd be greatly appreciated. And of course, anything that you certainly did give to the channel itself, you can certainly do that, as well as anything you want to give to us personally. Our cash apps, individual cash apps, are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. But good to be with you guys tonight as we chop it up in the world of sports. I know we're a week away, a little over a week away from the start of the NFL season. And so certainly, obviously this was a cut week. So want to talk about that a little bit also, throughout the league. I didn't see anything that was glaring. Of course, I'll get the opinions of certainly the guys, when they come up tonight. But didn't really see anything glaring regarding like, oh, my gosh, this guy got cut or somebody like that. I can't believe they cut that guy or what have you. I didn't see anything glaring that was out there. There were certainly some wide receivers that are out there. I know the Steelers, for example, they may be looking for a second wide receiver. And, so again, there's some prospects out there that they may consider in this market. So, we can chop that up a little bit as we get into it. But, we turn over to the coach. And I'm assuming the handsome gentleman behind Coach is his younger, youthful self. How old were you in that picture? Were you like 12? I see you got the stash already. So were you like 12 years old when you had your stash?
No, man. Can you hear me good?
Yes, I can. Loud and clear.
I was 17, man.
17, yeah. Got the grown man stash already, and I'm sure the muscles are already in, there, man. So again, so this was now. When did you go into the military? If you don't mind me asking.
Age 22.
22. Okay, so from 17 to 22, what were you doing?
I went straight to Morehead State.
Okay.
Eastern part of Kentucky, out of high school.
Right.
Had hopes of playing football. Messed up my knee. Sort of ripped. I don't know, man. The way it ripped open, just like a top, all the skin ripped open into the membrane. And then that same year they had the strike. So I said, I need to think about something greater than going to play some football. Because I thought I had the skills. I could run, I could throw, I could catch.
What were your primary positions?
Running back, played some quarterback, middle, from like junior football through freshman year. I played quarterback and linebacker. I was real good at reading the ball, reading the quarterback's eyes, because I played offense, linebacker. So my senior year, I ended up honorable mention All-State and All-District. Honorable mention All-State running back and All-District linebacker. And I played like 4 games that year at linebacker. But yeah, I didn't have a really good coach, and I didn't even play on really good teams, Brother Bennett. My high school career for 8 years, I won 8 total games.
Wow.
And most of the players, where I went to school, they hardly let any of the players that lived in the projects play football. I don't know what that was about, but a lot of good, big, strong guys didn't get to play, even basketball. And there was a mixture of white boys, misfit white boys and stuff. So
sure.
But we did okay. We competed. Basketball, we had very few players over 6 foot.
Okay.
One of my point guards, he was 5 foot, I don't know, 5'4" and it's the height is here. Real quick, some of the players that I played against, because my senior year they didn't have the 3-point shot.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I was like 65% from the floor. I averaged like 17 points. You know, but
right.
I didn't know. I couldn't choose. I didn't know what to choose. So, and then when I got to college, it was football. But then once I got hurt, things changed.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's amazing how it can happen in a blink of an eye. So we talk about guys who are able to get to the league and play and whatnot. And my thing is this: I don't care. You know, I mean, obviously we always, you know, like to have conversations. We're going to have a little bit of that conversation today about, you know, all-time greats and who belongs and who doesn't and things of that nature. But we still take for granted the small chance that you have to, you know, play football at college level in the D1. I think a few weeks ago we shared a stat on you know, some of the numbers and statistics, how rare it is. And then for guys to get to the pro leagues, you know, you might do a couple years in the league, but you're still in the gross minority regarding the you know, number of people who are able to get there. So we like to call people scrubs and things of that nature. But I'm thinking you get to the NFL, you know, it's kind of hard to you know, call you that when you know, you've you know, done with 1 in a million people, you know,
right.
do. So again, it's all about, at the end of the day, it's all about perspective and making sure that people are you know, certainly, you know, congratulated, you know, certainly for getting there, you know, to the leagues and whatnot. And again, you know, there's a lot of that discussion in terms of, you know, who deserves to be in what positions and that sort of thing. But I think, you know, we have to certainly give deference to those, you know, certainly who've, you know, did what it take to get to that level, whether it be nepotism or anything else. You know, you still had to show up. And, you know, so I always appreciate that. But let's get into certainly some NFL, since obviously this was cut week, as well as, you know, contract signings and whatnot, you know, out there. So again, so the big news, I'm sure the fans in Washington are happy that Terry McLaurin, who certainly a few weeks ago asked for a trade, it's almost like the boy cried wolf right now. I mean, it's one thing, you know, when Garrett from Cleveland, he was like, I want out of here, I want to go to a winner and whatnot, and they were able to come back with the money. So it just seems like it's like a big ploy at the end of the day. But, you know, certainly he got certainly a handsome contract, $32 million a year at wide receiver, which I think is a decent price for him. I wouldn't put him in the elite, like top 5 wide receivers in the league right now. I don't know if I'm ready to put him there yet. I mean, I don't know about you, but certainly I think that's a very handsome contract. You know, he's definitely, if not a number 1 wide receiver, he's definitely a number 2 wide receiver. And I know when talk was out there that he was out there, a lot of teams were, you know, certainly going around asking, you know, what could we get for this particular guy? But good for him. Got his first bag, and I think 3 years. I kind of like 3-year contracts to begin with. I don't know about you. I tend to like the shorter stuff. I mean, 5-year, 7-year, 10-year contracts, especially in the NFL, which usually means not for long. I think at 3 years is a good way to, you know, kind of see how things go, especially with the changing markets and whatnot. And just, you know, let's just you know, see where we're at in 3 years, and if we need to re-up, then we can do it again. But your thoughts on the signing and your thoughts on just the length of contracts. I think because I remember 10 years ago, you never saw like 3-year contracts. It was like a 5 or 7 or something like that. But what do you think of these shorter yet, you know, fairly lucrative contracts that they're offering these days? You like that balance, or would you like to see them a little bit longer?
Well, I like to see at least a 4-year contract.
4,
because if you do a 5, 3 years usually guaranteed, then player option, then team option. But I think they're going to get away from that. He's got 80-something million guaranteed, so that's still good money. Then that little 9 million, 10 million. You know, if he doesn't resign, that can be money that they can apply to another draft pick. But he is a top 10 receiver in the NFL. And he's on one of the up-and-coming teams. They need their wide receiver core to be with their quarterback. So that was a great signing for them. You know, trade. He's a top 10. They look at the numbers. They take every number. He was the man. I think, you know what I'm saying? I don't like the holdouts, though, but I get it. I rather, as a player, if I know I'm up for that contract and I know I'm top notch on this team and looking around the league, and I done had a great year, I would practice, but I wouldn't do no team drills. I just do, I do all individual drills, let them show that I got my mobility, my skills, and I got my power. But when it comes to the like team contact drills, I would just be over studying the defense. Like I ain't gonna hurt myself, but I let y'all know I'm ready to play and pay me the money. But yeah, salute to him, man. Shit, get that money, man.
Yeah,
he's better. He's better than Kirk Cousins. That's for sure.
Well, Kurt is my GOAT. He's definitely on my GOAT wall for getting the most money for the least amount of talent. So he's definitely on my GOAT wall. So shout out to him. Him and Barry Bonilla. They're my all-time GOAT contract negotiators or whatnot, and how they still get paid. We still celebrating Barry Bonilla Day. Did he get
a paycheck this past couple weeks ago?
Yep, Bobby Bonilla Day has been going on for over 20 years.
He got like 3 more years left.
Yeah, so congrats to him. Not mad at him for getting that deal together. Absolutely. So yeah, but speaking of that, don't want to spend too much time on one to wait at least till Shawnee. I know Dante, I think he might be out tonight, but I wanted to wait till Shawnee showed up. But obviously situation in Dallas. I don't know if you saw any of that interview that Stephen A. Smith had with Jerry Jones, and it seems like at this point they're still at a standstill. Jerry's kind of dug in on sort of his sort of old school ways, and it's weird. It's at least what I got from the interview. I mean, he definitely makes no mistake in terms of who the owner is and who the player is, and I don't know if that language is necessarily useful in you can say it's true if he wants to, but that kind of tone in 2025, I'm not sure that if it's there, but he seems to try to sun a lot of these players, and I'm not sure if that's going to be useful in this negotiation. But Micah Parsons still unsigned. You saw him in the week. He's just on the sideline, kind of laying on the bench and whatnot. So I don't know where this goes. But do you think, just real quick, because everybody gets on this when we talk about the Cowboys too much, but any thoughts? Any thoughts on do you think this gets resolved before the start of the season, or do you think we might be in for a few games like Emmitt Smith did in his holdout? I think they think they lost their first 2 games before he signed his deal. So do you think it's going to sort of play out like that, or are they going to part? I mean, is this an impasse that can't be crossed at this point? What do you think?
I would hope that they could make a deal by the end of the week for sure. Again, I don't see them trading him because without him, they have no defense at all. So I think they're going to get the deal done. Yes. And the problem is, again, Jerry Jones is the GM. That's the GM job. They talking to the players even during the contract year. They over on the sideline during the season. Hey, you think you're going to be able to, we want to talk about this contract. Usually the player then go to the lawyer and say, hey, go to his agent if he got an agent, but he don't got to go to the player to contact to have a conversation. I think Jerry Jones had an inappropriate conversation about money.
Yeah.
But even when you're looking at it, Parsons still is one of the top 5 defensive players in the league. You have to pay him that dollar or trade him. But see, he done made 2. Jerry Jones, the problem is he try to show how tough he is, but then he put himself in a position where he going to have to pay top dollar. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb get what, $70 million of the team's budget for the year? And then you're looking at Parsons, he's looking at what, 30, 33?
Like 90, yeah. It's like
see
90.
What I'm saying? Yeah. He only got like 140, so he don't leave his, but they have to make a deal. Other than that, Dallas, they'll be trying to get the top pick in the draft, and then he'll try to trade Parsons too late, and it'll just be a mess. So sign the man before the end of the week. He got a whole week, give him another week to practice. I think he'd be all right because defense, he's just rushing that man. I just hope we don't have no leg injuries like, players like that when they're not getting that football contact speed. He has to get that. He's missed quite a bit of that.
Yeah, for sure. So again, congrats to sort of McLaurin for getting his money. Also, in the NFL, Henderson, Trey Henderson, he got his. Well, he didn't get a new contract. He basically got a bump in pay. He got a $14 million increase in pay, which is certainly better for him. So he's going to make $30 million this season, but he's still an unrestricted free agent next season. So certainly, and I don't think certainly the defense overall, even though he's balled, I think he's got the most sacks in the last 2 years. I think he's got like 35 sacks over the last 2 seasons. So he's definitely a beast on defense, but he may be looking for another spot because again, I mean, if you're team in need of a pass rusher, and just like Aaron Donald when he signed with the with the Rams, he could be that missing piece if he goes to a situation. So what do you think about his prospects of next year? Does he stay with Cincinnati, or does he go to another team? What team you think could really use him in their defensive line?
Well, 2 things. If he stays with Cincinnati, I think if he comes out and have a Pro Bowl year with Cincinnati, I think he'll get another 3-year, $30-some million deal. If not, they could still franchise tag him. Mm-hmm. Or is he unrestricted?
He's unrestricted.
Okay, so anywhere he goes, that's looking at the teams outside of like Jacksonville and the lower teams in the league, anywhere he goes, like the team becomes an immediate contender. Anywhere he goes, because some teams will have the money to sign him, quite a few teams, but yeah, anywhere he goes that has an offense and an okay defense, he automatically makes them a contender. But if he makes the Pro Bowl, Cincinnati go have to sign him to a long-term deal.
Absolutely. Shout out to Shawnee. I lost him. Where do you go? there he is. Good to see you, Shawnee. How you doing tonight, sir?
Hello, fella.
Hey, what's good? It's all good here. We talked a little bit.
How I'm sounding on the mic?
A little muffled.
Yeah. You can put a little tad too.
Just we can hear you clear. You just sound like you far back from the microphone or something. But you clear though.
Okay, let me okay. Just checking my audio source real quick. Okay.
All right, you good. But yeah, talk about the deals just got done. So obviously, we talked about McLaurin getting his $96 million deal. Trey Henderson getting a pay scale increase. So the question on the table was, certainly next year he's still he's an unrestricted free agent. So do you think that he stays with Cincinnati or he goes to another team? And if so, what team do you think could nail him? What do you think would be a logical destination for him to go?
So hold on, Hendricks said his deal wasn't an extension. It was just
no. It was just he just got basically a pay increase of $14 million. So I think he's currently making this year. He'll make $30 million this year, and then he's an unrestricted free agent next year.
Oh yeah, then I don't think he'll be with Cincinnati next year then, because if that was the case, they would have extended him long-term deal, and most likely, if they complaining about his price tag this season, it is most likely going to go up next season. I'm still expecting him. His sack numbers may not be up there, but I think he's been leading the sacks for the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, last 2 years he's had 35 sacks, I believe, in the last 2 seasons.
As long as he's healthy, the sack number's going to be there.
Yeah.
So then you're going to even hear, then you're going to be competing against other teams. And that's how, Cincinnati was already dragging their feet just to give him this 1 year extension, just like say pay boost. So think about it, once he gets into the market, and you're going to have desperate teams out there just throwing cash at him. So I don't think he's going to be there because Cincinnati, they already don't like paying defensive players. So, he ain't going to be a Bengals next year. Yeah,
for sure. Certainly next block in the NFL. So obviously you have can I get it up here? Let me remove it. Nope, I don't want that either. Hang on, guys. I'm all over the place. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, so next block here. So in the saga of the Browns, I was looking for my guy Tom to be here tonight. Certainly give some insight on this. So last week We talked about the QB room last week, and then certainly this week the barn burner of a trade. That's why I wanted Tommy B up here because Kenny Pickett, former Steeler, former Brown, former whatever, he's now an Oakland Raider. So I'm sure that's causing a lot of waves there. But bottom line is you're down to 3 quarterbacks in Cleveland. All right, so you got the veteran and Joe Flacco. You got the 2 rookies that were just drafted. So Shador certainly made the roster, and he's currently number 3, certainly on the depth chart. So the question I have for you guys is, again, what do you think his prospects are for being able to move up in the because Flacco at 40 was like 39, 40 years old. Anytime you can have an injury, whatnot. So one of these guys is going to get thrust into the potentially in the starting lineup, I'd say by game 3 or 4. So who do you think has the best chance of sort of breaking out? And just given this preseason, I don't think either one of these guys has certainly gotten the reps. I mean, Dylan's been hurt, primarily Shador. He got hurt and he didn't look good certainly in his last game, but I think he was brought in pretty much around garbage time. So I don't know if they have really anybody outside of Flacco who's really ready to take reps, and he really didn't take it. He didn't see any games in the preseason this year. So again, what do you guys think of the roster and just the prospects for one of these guys? They're going to have the ability to step out and be of impact this year. You start with Shawnee and go to Coach.
Well, we all know that Joe Flacco is not in the future plans for the Browns. He literally they brought him on because they needed a player to come in, a vet, after Watson's injury. And then he had success and he led them to the playoffs. So it's like, okay, we just bring him on again, But he's not in the future plans. As of now, Gabriel and Sanders, you figure they are in the future plans for the Browns. Gabriel, I believe, will get more potential first-round reps just due to his position on the depth chart. Sanders will just get all the backup players and whatnot in practice. Sanders is just like how Dak was. The only time he made to get the play is everybody got to get injured in front of him. But it's not a bad thing. It's okay. He's watching the starters play. He's learning. It's almost like a red shirt, right? But he's getting like real time experience in practice. He's still on the team. He's getting reps in the practice and all that, in the QB room and all that. So he's doing like what many of us have no issues with, a young player sitting out at least his first year and learning. So whether, that may set him up, and maybe if something happened to Flacco, Gabriel is going to be the first one to get a shot at it. Maybe he gets thrown in the fire too fast. You know what I'm saying? So Sanders, it may just, it may pan out for him. So right now he's the 3rd string. I know Watson is injured. They obviously just wait for that contract to end. That is obviously pretty much the worst contract in NFL history, which surprises me because how great of a talent he was for my Texans. But that summer, that offseason that he left Houston to go up to Cleveland, that offseason, it completely turned his whole career around. His career, how people view him, because he was like a choir boy when he was in Houston, and it just completely went to 180.
Wow.
But Sanders, if he sits out this year, hey, it's perfectly fine. It's what a young quarterback, I believe, because, as of right now, as far as a lot of time, the public and some media heads, we the one who look at Sanders as like he should have been a high round pick, or maybe based on his class, he should have came out early, or he should be a starter. But that's not the Browns. The Browns got their own plan for Sanders. Obviously it don't match what majority of us may have, because one, I don't understand why they brought 5 QBs into training camp. But that's the Browns. They got their own plan. And they plan maybe the whole time just be, Sanders, you just sit this 1 year out, and obviously you will see a whole lot stronger competition between him and Gabriel next offseason. Because I don't think there's no need for Flacco to be there next year. You have your two young studs for the most part. Let them battle it out and let them dictate who's gonna start on the field. It don't need to be everybody else needs to figure out. No, if Sanders can't beat Gabriel for the starting spot, Gabriel deserves it. Sanders don't. Now y'all handle it on the field now. So yeah, I don't have no problem with the depth chart right now. Not surprised at Pickett. I mean, I think we all agree that Pickett was never in their cards. He was just somebody to just bring in the camp, and we know what the ceiling for Pickett. That's why we were looking at the roster. We were like, Flacco, he's a vet. He can bring stability to that young QB room. Sanders and Gabriel, they're young, so they're both projects. We don't know. We hoping that their floor is high and their ceiling. Pickett, we know what Pickett was. We were like, Pickett, we don't even know why you on the team. you just here. You just taking up a roster spot.
Right.
Because it's you just knew. So right now, Pickett just gonna be a journeyman for the rest of his career.
Yeah, for sure. Journeyman, he's got a Super Bowl ring though. So
he can flash that to each team he goes to on his journey.
He can flash that
ring. Look at my ring on the next team.
That's it. There you go. Coach, your thoughts on the depth chart of the Browns?
I'm not surprised. I deemed it was going to be set up like that. Right now, Shedeur, I agree in this extent that he's in a good position, but he could be started by week 5 or 6. Byron Joe Flacco, he's going to play. If they're 2-2, I believe if they 2-3 by the 5th game, I think they'll make a change. It'll be a competition. Of course, they may give Gabriel the initial start at it just because, he was drafted ahead. And, the pushback they may claim that they're afraid of with Shedeur. But, again, with the timing, from what I've seen from Shedeur, it's just his timing. He can't hold on to the ball. I think he'll be able to get an opportunity, if not this year, next year. But I do think he's going to see some time this year. Maybe 2 or 3 games, and he's going to really perform well because he will be going up against the first-string defense on your other team. He'll be running some offense, so that'll get him with his timing. That's what he needs, the timing, get rid of the ball. Next year, it'll be a wide-open contest. We'll see. But, hey, some teams still – some quarterbacks out there whose spots could be suspect late into the season, barring some injuries. You're looking at Miami. You're looking at possibly even who was that down in Jacksonville. It's some teams that can probably use a quarterback like him later, if not barring injury. But yeah, I'm glad he made the team, man. So Cleveland did the right thing. They know the publicity that he brings to the youth, and that's always a positive thing for a player, man, because he brings people out to support. So, yeah, I'm happy for him, man. Yeah. Kenny Pickett shouldn't even be in the league, just in case y'all want to talk about quarterbacks. But, he can get those opportunities Shedeur can't. So,
there you go.
Well, my whole thing with Sanders is I know many people are saying, like, well, Sanders needs to go to a team that will appreciate him or will use him.
They don't know.
My whole thing is, okay, them same teams are the ones that pass him up for 5 rounds. So
But football ain't about appreciation. Football ain't about appreciate. If they got an offensive-minded coach, they do that to the scrub quarterbacks. They did it to Mac Jones. They he's so bad. Man, he didn't have a quarterback coach. You know what I'm saying? All of these other quarterbacks get opportunities, man. They're not as good as Shedeur.
Yeah,
everybody see that.
It's not. I think so. He'll get another opportunity to say for whatever reason the Browns let him go, but I don't. I'm just because I hear a lot of people saying like, okay, if the Browns don't know what to do with him, there's like other teams out there that will welcome Sanders basically with open arms and give him all these opportunities that he's not getting with Cleveland. And I'm like, y'all expecting the same teams that many of them we knew during the draft needed a quarterback, and they passed him up for 5 rounds. It just felt like Cleveland, like, okay, he's just still out there. We're just gonna grab him. So if he was out there as a free agent, I think these same they may he put him on the squad, let him work out, but I won't have obviously he's not going. He's cheap. He's a 5th-round draft pick, so he's not. He's like I'm not gonna have any high expectations that this team was gonna sign him, put him in a better system. I'm like, man, y'all don't view him high anyway. So he's just a project, so.
Yeah. Speaking of the Sanders family, again, there was some other, I guess, unfortunate news. Certainly this week, Shiloh Sanders, who went undrafted, wound up with Tampa Bay, got into a fight in the last preseason game, and was ceremoniously cut from the team. So I mean, I'm just thinking, just as a Sanders family, when you got your father being one of the greatest, certainly defensive backs of all time, you see how the Shedeur was, treated by, again, debatable. Some people said, yeah, he deserved to be drafted that high. We've had those debates without going back to him. But now just this one, now his brother Shiloh getting undrafted and then getting cut because of the fight. Again, certainly not a good look when you're trying to make a roster spot and you're going undrafted. So, again, bad time to have that kind of particular situation. So then the question is, I don't know, whether or not he was good enough to make the team anyway. But it just seems like, is this an effect? What we've seen, is this kind of an effect of the bubble that Deion has certainly been able to have his kids in for most of their lives up to this point in time, and now they're getting out and they're seeing, I guess what the reality is that with that crown that Deion was able to protect them, and now he's not, and are these behaviors that were there, we just didn't see, or just so what do you think of, I guess, that particular situation, and just when you look at this whole situation in totality, coming off of Colorado last year, and all the buzz, and now it just seems like more so, and again, certainly prayers to Deion, who I know he's battling some things right now as well, but your thoughts on that. But before you do, just want to once again acknowledge Anton for the $5 super chat. I was so sure that Shedeur Sanders would be QB1 or QB2. Yeah, I mean, I think it was split down the middle. A lot of people thought that he should have been drafted much higher, that he certainly had the talent to play at the NFL level. We see the brief action they had in his first game, was able to repeat it. So, so the story's still being written on him and whether or not he's going to be a successful NFL quarterback. But just the family in general, when you see the fight, the Charlotte, again, is there going to be a team that's going to pick him up now? It's like so what are his future NFL prospects just to stay on a roster? But I would think that'd be the last thing you want to do, being undrafted, is to get into a fight on the field. But your thoughts on this? Go to Shawnee and then the coach.
Yeah, my whole thing with Shiloh, I mean, you gotta remember where you at. You were undrafted rookie, free agent, I guess, that was picked up by the Bucs. So you're obviously not high on the totem pole. So because of your draft position or your undrafted position, how they acquire you, you got to keep your mind, focused at all times. And you can't go on the football field and punch an opponent, no matter what. Really, you got to keep your emotions in check, per se. Even once I heard the comment about his coach basically upset of Sanders' actions, I said, yeah, you gone. And it's just basically because you're super cheap. I mean, I know we were just talking about Sanders kind of cheap because his draft position, well, his brother went undrafted, so you just incredibly cheap. And, they just basically, we basically just brought you in for a workout, a glorified workout. They already have the roster positions for the most part as the safeties. You just have to, when you are coming to a team and undrafted, you got to do something that will just wow them so they can keep you on the roster, bring you in the 53. And I don't think he was doing anything that wowed them and then turn around and get a personal foul penalty, during the game. If you know anything about, the coaches, they hate that. They hate when players on the field do something that costs their team, yardage like that. So it's like, okay, if you was a player who was drafted maybe round 2 or 3, obviously they'll give you some some leeway. They'll be pissed off at you, but you're not going nowhere. But you're an undrafted free agent. So your chance, for errors is incredibly small, and that's just not because it's who they are and what their last name is. That's why everybody's giving it attention. This is no different than any other player in the NFL, especially if there was an undrafted rookie coming into a team. And, you just don't have the liberty to, get into dust-ups on the field as much as a competitive sport football is. You just don't have that liberty. Like you're saying, you already trying behind the 8 ball because you coming in as undrafted. So you got to do something that will wow them so they can bring you and keep you on the 53, and then they give you more opportunities to wow them and ultimately bring you on the playing field. But if you're not really wowing them, then you costing them yardage while you're in the game, your notch is just going down, until they ultimately kick you off the team.
All right, Coach, I know you're chomping at the bit.
Listen, man. First of all, let's get it straight. He was baited into doing that, right? Sean, you play football, right? How many times you stole on somebody that kept punching on you during the game? But don't tell me you ain't hit nobody in the game.
Me personally, I never did, but then again, it's not. I'm not saying that he
was baited. Let me make that clear. He was baited. The player bumped him all the way down in his back. Then he turned around. Hold up. We know the NFL, how the NFL work. They get the man with the last punch.
That's right.
He hit him with an open hand. They always throw the flag on the last punch. Yes, but he was baited. The referee saw him hit him a couple of times before he swung. It's just that him being the rookie, I don't know if his name played a role into it. Hope not. But, he's going to play in Canada. And I think he'll still get a shot because he's not that bad of a safety. He wasn't doing a bad job. He may have had to be on special teams or something, but that's okay. That's how you make the team sometimes. But yeah, it's just a bad penalty. Plus, they highlighted it. It was 4 officials around, and nobody see the other guy. The other guy threw a punch, and he threw a punch. And here's when you throw a punch after the whistle, that's a flag. That's the flag right there. After the whistle is a flag.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it's so you saying he was baited. So let's just for a minute, let's just pause reality a little bit and let's just entertain the conspiracy. So we all know about what happened. We all know what happened draft night. And shout out to Anton. Now he dropped something. Now again, Eric Dickerson was quoted as saying that the teams were told not to draft Shedeur Sanders on Thursday or Friday night, and we also see the new arrangement that ESPN has with the NFL. In fact, there was supposed to be a Spike Lee produced production with Colin Kaepernick that got canceled. So is all of this simply the NFL just flexing its muscle, dictating the narrative over who has the right to say and to move what folks they want to highlight and which ones they don't. I mean, what say you guys regarding this whole thing? Is this the grand conspiracy to screw this so to speak, to screw this the Sanders family by low-balling and low-drafting Shedeur, sending a goon out there to get into a fight with Shiloh Sanders in a move that would get him kicked off the team. And now with and like I said, with Eric Dickerson, now again, is Stephen A. Smith in First Take? Are they going to invite now with NFL owning 10% of the of ESPN? Is he going to be a guest on First Take to discuss what was told to him by NFL executives? Is that more likely or less likely to happen right now? So is this just a function of the NFL and its power move? You guys, I know on the BMU Network, you guys love conspiracy stuff. So let's talk about what do you guys think, Coach? all these breadcrumbs leading to a certain place.
Okay, so let me ask y'all this, man. How much y'all think ESPN is worth? If y'all was to throw a number out there, how much y'all think it's worth?
I'd say maybe
couple billion,
8 to
or
10
10 billion, right?
Yeah.
And now, and listen, the players are struggling to get their little money that they should be getting, but they purchasing a couple of $1 billion over to ESPN. I think it's sort of monopolizing the commentary of the game. That you're gonna see because now they part ownership. You can't be as highly critical. Stephen A. It may not work in the long term because you're just gonna have to sort of be more critical of the players per se, and not teams and ownership.
Wow, that much, $24 billion for ESPN. Wow.
See what I'm saying? 24 billion. So think about it. But y'all can't get Michael Parsons. You should Jerry Jones, give him his money tomorrow. Sign him before the damn weekend. Give him his money, man. But they purchased the NFL. See, we ain't talking about ESPN purchasing the NFL. They got enough money to pay a couple billion to ESPN. So to me, that revenue, that means you got enough revenue to pay the players. But it's going to be more games on ESPN. But then the commentary of ESPN, they're supposed to be bipartisan. None of y'all can get on here and talk critical about your bosses. So it's going to be interesting to see how these commentary shows play out. In reference to being specifics about teams and NFL. Now you can't talk about Goodell. You can't talk about Jerry Jones. It's going to be interesting, man. So I don't know, man. Pay everybody. Everybody get paid.
Well, speaking about Jerry Jones, I wanted to get Shawnee's input on this. I put in our group chat. There was a piece, I guess, Skip Bayless, who used to be with Fox, and I don't think anyone's hired him now, but nevertheless, he was certainly a longtime reporter with the Cowboys. He's part of a documentary. I think it was called The Gambler and His Cowboys or something like that. It's on Netflix. Yeah. And you know, he was a part of the production. He was featured several times. At least I saw the first 3 episodes, and he was prominently featured there. But then he goes on this rant, which is a little bit surprising. Usually, I don't see guys who are part of a production then go out there and didn't rant on it. But he basically just pissed on the thing that he was a part of, talking about basically how inept Jerry Jones was, said that Jimmy Johnson was overrated as a football coach, and you know, just a whole host of things. Again, I'm not that intimately involved with the Cowboys, but Shawnee, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but you know, your thoughts if you were able to see both, I guess, the documentary, what you think of it so far, if you've seen some of it, or on Skip Bayless's comments on the Cowboys and how he acquired the Cowboys. I mean, he dropped, you know, proverbially, he dropped a lot of tea on the Cowboy mystique and whatnot. And even when I'm looking at the documentary, you know, obviously it's well produced, but you could definitely tell it's got the Jerry Jones stamp of approval on it. So I don't know how much is factual enough, but Skip just went all in on both of them, I thought. And so just real quick before we go on to the next section, I just want to get your thoughts on, you know, if you've seen either the documentary or the Skip Bayless response to it, your thoughts on it, and then I guess we can move on to other matters, but I wanted to give you the opportunity if you got a chance.
Well, yeah, I was able to listen to that Skip Bayless clip when I was coming home from work. And, you know, Skip was in the documentary. He had they brought his opinions in there, but he wasn't heavily featured in there, which is, I guess, a good thing. Skip, during that time, during the heyday of the Cowboys, the early 90s, Skip was involved with the Cowboys heavy. I mean, there was one time if Skip talked about the Cowboys, you can pretty much say it's legit because he covered them and he was all in the locker room. I think one time Jerry gave him access for like hundreds of hours. So he was writing book after book and stuff like that. So people could say what they want, I guess, what they think about Skip and his debate shows and whatnot. But when he talks about the Cowboys, he basically, he's a historian of the team, basically. So yeah, I was hearing that, and basically he was kind of mentioning some of the stuff that was kind of brought up. in the documentary.
Was a lot of it known? I mean, from your point
well,
of
that's
view?
when the Cowboys. I was a Cowboys fan back then, but I was in Houston, so I wasn't around. If you watch one, I've seen the documentary. I mean, I know it's Cowboys, whatnot. It's an excellent documentary. I mean, because of I put it up there with The Last Dance on how they produced it, because they was interviewing everybody. I mean, they focused on Jared, and they focused, and then they had a lot of game film. It was, and then the thing about it. Okay, I'm down in Houston, but since the Cowboys up here in Dallas, it was a completely different world. Especially once they started experiencing some success. And one thing y'all know, Texas is a football state. And if you have success, these dudes will literally treat you like rock stars.
Mm-hmm.
From the high school, that's why we got high school football stadiums that's over 50, almost 100 million, to the Cowboys, literally who do pretty much anything they want to do for free. And to the point where it was part of the documentary that it was a house called the White House, and Michael Irvin was the president, and it was literally right.
I saw 3 episodes. I think I don't think they went into depth on that. I'm assuming it's coming up.
They did. I think it was like episode 5.
Okay, I only got up to episode 3, so I
think it's 8 total. But right. Yeah, it was a house literally like right behind the Valley Ranch practice facility, and stuff just went down at that house. But just the way they was treated here in Dallas, especially after they won that first Super Bowl, and then when they won back to back, they pretty much had the key to the city to do whatever the hell they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. It was kind of similar to a local high school football team here too, when they won state and their community was just letting them get away with anything, and they ultimately, matter of fact, ESPN did a 30 for 30 on that high school football team. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, the thing that Skip was saying, they was bringing it up during the documentary, but this you looking at it from a Skip Bayless point of view. So obviously the documentary wasn't totally committed to Skip Bayless. They brought him in to talk about, these certain points, like a little 5-second clip or whatever here and there throughout the doc. But that piece that you sent me, yeah, Skip was basically just telling from his perspective as he was covering the team, because he was there in the locker room. He was talking to, various players. Yes, Jimmy Johnson was in the documentary. You can clearly see the difference between Jimmy Johnson. Y'all remember how Jimmy was with Miami? Just straight hard nose. That's why Miami was so successful. He didn't care what you thought about him. His main goal was always about winning. He was like that with Miami, and then he carried that on with the Cowboys. But he was kind of like unfiltered. Like, he would cut you if he had to cut you. He didn't care, and all this. And Barry Switzer, who was also a hard-nosed coach in college when he was with Oklahoma, that's how they won their championships. But then when he came coach of the Cowboys, he kind of like he took the approach, well, these are professional players, so I don't need to babysit them. They're grown men. And that's when that whole Michael Irvin and the White House stuff was taking place. It was during the Barry Switzer era, because Jimmy ran such a tight ship. But they hella respected Jimmy. And then Skip was also talking about Aikman, because remember when Aikman first came to the Cowboys, I think when they first went to the playoffs, before that, Aikman got hurt during the season. Steve Berline came and won like 5 games in a row in the regular season, and they got into the postseason. And he won a playoff game. He won a so Aikman by that time was healthy, but Jimmy decided to go with Berline. I think he got a playoff victory, and then the next game, then they and Aikman was 100% healthy.
Something like that,
and Jimmy was like, I'm basically riding with the hot hand, and he didn't really care how Aikman felt about it, even though Aikman was a number 1 overall pick. Mm-hmm. He didn't care how Aikman felt. I mean, we riding, Berline, was the one playing well, and we're gonna do that. It's in the story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can get into, certainly I would recommend people, certainly, I think the documentary itself.
It was a good documentary.
Yeah, it's a good documentary, so I would say definitely check it out. And you can also find Skip Bayless's response. Just look up Jimmy Johnson overrated. It's a over 30 minutes. He's just talking about the Cowboys.
Yeah.
The two things that really struck me, though, from Skip's take was, one, is really the only reason why the former owner sold the Cowboys to him was that his first order of business was firing Tom Landry. Because the other guys, they said a lot of guys gave more money to buy the Cowboys, but they didn't want to touch Landry. But Jerry from the beginning was like, "Oh, I got my guy already, so you sell it to me, and I'll get rid of Jimmy Johnson." So I mean, Coach Landry.
Yeah.
So
Dallas hated that. Dallas.
Yeah, I know.
That.
In fact, I've seen. I've seen. I got a YouTube clip where they like cover like the whole thing, the whole press conference and the whole thing. It was like several hours long.
Well, because Landry was. Remember, Landry won his Super Bowls with the Cowboys, so he was.
Yeah, he was royalty in Dallas. Like you said, if you went in Dallas, they take care of you like no other down there. So
if you went anywhere, what are we talking about, fellas? Yeah. If we went anywhere, football.
What's that?
Hold on. How? Nothing.
No, Landry.
I don't know.
Landry was.
How old were you when Landry was the coach, Shawnee?
No, it wasn't. I was young, but I'm talking about the way they were talking about Landry. He was valued so highly in Dallas, but by this time, though, by the time Jerry brought the team, Dallas was on the other side of the league.
Yeah, they were definitely losing. They were definitely past their glory days, but nobody wanted to touch Landry. Jerry said, if you sell me the team, who again he was like one of the lower bidders,
a Super Bowl quarterback, Super Bowl head coach.
But he said that I will fire Landry and I'll take the incoming from it.
Because by that time they was not winning.
That was the first thing that got me. That was the first thing that got me.
So Jerry Jones fires Tom Landry, right? One of the most beloved Dallas Cowboy legends of the history of the team.
Yes.
You think he don't mind taking the flag for the Parsons? You don't mind this is what he done ever since he's been an owner. He's the GM. He can fire and hire anybody on the whole on the football side of the organization down to the manager.
This Parsons stuff this not affect. I don't think this is affecting Jerry at all. If you watch that documentary, you'll see the stuff that Jerry had to go through as an owner. Oh, this Parsons stuff is
it's nothing. I don't think it's nothing. But the second thing I want to just mention, the second thing that got me. So that was the first thing, that why he was sold to Cowboys. I thought was very interesting. The second thing that Skip said was that basically, again, Jimmy Johnson's overrated. He said he's not a good X's and O's guy, but he's a good motivator. He basically had those guys in fear. But again, as far as game time strategy, they said his fortune, even with Aikman, his fortune didn't turn until they hired Norv Turner as the offensive coordinator. That's when it turned for the Cowboys. But as far as Jimmy Johnson as a coach, not a good X's and O's guy. And obviously he's a Hall of Famer. Now my thing is this. If he's in the Hall because he won 2 Super Bowls, why is it Mike Shanahan in the Hall of Fame? He's got 2 Super Bowls, but Jimmy got in, but he didn't. So that gets into that whole Hall of Fame. My thing is this: if you're a coach that's got 2 Super Bowl wins, so Tom Flores should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. I don't care what his overall record is or whatever. He got 2 Super Bowl teams to Super Bowl wins, and certainly he should have got in. I think he got in maybe a couple years ago after being on the on the Legends ballot for some time. But where's Mike Shanahan? If why isn't he in the Super Bowl? If you let Jimmy in, he should be next. But I don't even think Shanahan is even in the gets into the final balloting. So I don't know what's going on there. So again, your thoughts on that? I would say that'd be a criteria. 2 Super Bowl wins as a coach you're in, and there really shouldn't be much debate about that if you do so. That I will concede on. I don't care about greatness and all that. Players is a different category, but if you're a multi-time Super Bowl winning coach, you should be in the Hall of Fame. So that's my. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I put it like this: do you believe Mike Tomlin is a great X's and O's coach, or he's just a great like CEO of his coaches? CEO. Okay, that's basically like Jimmy Johnson was like that. He was a culture changer. Because remember, the Cowboys was not winning. They was a losing franchise. That's why they got the number 1 overall pick for Aikman. They was a losing franchise when Jimmy came with Jerry once when Jerry bought the team. And so he was, and Aikman was struggling, and Aikman's career didn't really take off until Jimmy hired Norv Turner. And obviously, that's but he was a culture changer, and he held everybody on that team to expectations. That's why he was so beloved and highly respected amongst his players. He ran a tight ship. He ran a very tight ship, but because he and Troy was getting into it, but they recognized, because Troy's kind of like he wasn't like rah-rah. Troy was just, I remember that playing. Troy always looked mad sometimes when he was playing. But he had his personality and Jimmy's personality. Once they had like this obsession of winning, that's when it took off for Troy. And then obviously with Norv Turner. So yeah, Jimmy was not no X and O's. He was a great CEO for that team.
Yeah.
And once he brought the right coaches in, that's when they started having success, right, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Now, about the Hall of Fame, I think when they look at Jimmy, it's because, remember, he came, the team wasn't doing anything before he got there. And this is the main reason why him and Jerry kept going back and forth, because you really don't know, even though Skip and that he was talking about Skip was giving more credit to the Vikings GM for his inept ability for making this trade, but he put, when they did that whole Herschel Walker trade, and that trade literally built the championship. That was like a combination between Jerry and Jimmy. So we got that. They basically just built this team from scratch for the most part, and quickly within like 3 years went from a bottom of the league team to a Super Bowl, and they kept challenging this great 49ers team and beating them in the NFC title game. So even though his stint with the Cowboys was short, the way they did it.
He was there 10 years. Now look at this. Now again, Hall of Fame numbers. Now this is one of the areas I will concede on, because again, I understand you are a CEO, you're of the team and all that. Win-loss record: 80 wins, 64 losses. Not a great coaching record overall in the NFL. We all know about the first couple years; they were awful. 1-15 in his first start. They did have those years, but he got out. The divorce that happened in '93. But again, he was like 9-7, 10-6, 9-7, and 8-8 with Miami. Not a great coaching record overall.
No, not with Miami.
So again, if you look at his resume overall, it's not that great. But again, it didn't take him that long to get into the Hall of Fame. Now, do I think Jerry had something to do with that? Because he got in a few years earlier. So did he have something to do with that? I think so. I think Jerry has a lot of sway, certainly with those.
He was going to get in anyway.
Then why isn't Mike Shanahan? Then why is Mike Shanahan 2 Super Bowls?
Mike Shanahan should be in. He should be in the Super. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He should have been in the Hall of Fame 10 years ago, just based on his stuff. Listen, Jimmy Johnson, he recognized talent. He did it in Miami, won a championship in a short period of time, went to the NFL, started out. He was intricate in bringing in the right players. I think, Jerry as GM, he wanted the players he wanted, and Jimmy wanted the players he wanted, so it wasn't going to work. But as far as, in that, first couple years in Dallas, they were losing. He brought in the players that he thought were needed, and you see the run they had. But then in Miami, again, for the NFL, it used to Tom Landry, the great, the Packers coach, all of those guys, they were similar to Jimmy Johnson. Right. Jimmy Johnson had a strategy, but he allowed his other players to focus on that, and he just, as a head coach, just emphasized the discipline of it and the structure of the game and playing at a high performance, which is best for a head coach. See, head coaches today, they running an offense and they may not be able to see all the nuances needed because they're always trying to get the right play and all of that. But I like Jimmy Johnson's style of coaching because he still has a say-so on what's to be ran, who's in the game, and it's up to the coaches to sort of strategize on the best time to play, But yeah, Jimmy Johnson had too much power with the players. He had too much power with the players because players followed him. They played for him. Mm-hmm. And to an owner that has an ego like Jerry Jones, what are we talking about?
Yeah,
I'm the GM, man. I'm talking.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Cowboys, they still gonna be terrible.
Anyway. Yeah. Fascinating pieces. Again, I recommend watch both of them, the Skip Bayless, Jimmy Johnson overrated piece, as well as, again, the documentary if you have time to watch it. Very interesting stuff. Want to go on to more Hall of Fame. I kind of like these discussions, so we're going to get into a couple different halls, or just measuring players through history. So here we have the list of current most wide receiving yards in history. We all know Jerry Rice is far and away certainly the head there. Larry Fitzgerald, Terrell Owens, Moss, and down the line. There are a couple guys on here that are still not in the Hall of Fame. And again, I know you guys know what my criteria is, but you cannot ignore the numbers either. These are the top 10. Reggie Wayne, not in the Hall of Fame. Steve Smith, not in the Hall of Fame. I think Isaac Bruce, I believe he's in. I think he got in a couple years ago. Larry Fitzgerald, he just got off the stage, so I would say Larry Fitzgerald, based on today's standards, I would say he would have to be a first ballot in my view. Second all-time receiving yards. I would think you got to give it to him on first ballot to get in, even though he went to a Super Bowl. He balled in that Super Bowl. He had the go-ahead touchdown until Steelers had that all-time great drive to win the game. But I think he's certainly first ballot. I don't know about Reggie Wayne, but the one guy that's glaring off this list who absolutely I think should be in, Steve Smith. If you want to say what the definition of a pit bull or a little bull terrier, something like that, a tough dog, small guy, but played like he's 10 feet tall, he was, to me, the epitome of that. So why he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, given his numbers and impact just on the field, I thought he was certainly at any given one time, that he was certainly one of the better receivers in the league for a long time. And so, your thoughts on this list. Do you think Steve Smith eventually gets in? Do you think Reggie Wayne gets in, even though, Marvin Harrison, he got in, I think, a year or two ago? Do you think they do the same for Reggie Wayne? I didn't even know that their stats were that close. I know that, so they didn't play all their years together with the Colts and Peyton Manning. But your thoughts on this list, and for the guys who are not in the Hall, what are your thoughts on those guys? Coach, start with you.
Man, I think he'll get in. These are top 10 all time. I think he'll get in. It's just the class. I think Steve Smith was a finalist this year. So I think he'll eventually get in. I don't think outside of Mike Evans of Tampa, probably the closest, probably to that number of almost Hall of Fame numbers. I don't know if he had 10 consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards. I don't know, something. He got a nice little stat, but as far as the next 2 or 3 years, Steve Smith should be making it to me. Reggie Wayne, again, one of those borderline players. I think he was a finalist too. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think they'll eventually get in. Maybe 3 to 5 years from now, but I think they get in just based off them being in the top 10 right now of all time. And I don't see no other players really coming out with those numbers in the next few years.
Yeah. Shawnee, your thoughts on this list and the guys who are not in the Hall, your prospect of those guys getting into the Hall?
Well, I agree with Coach. I think Steve Smith will ultimately get in. I believe last year was his first year eligible. In his first season, he was a finalist in 25. So he would get in. I think with Reggie Wayne, I think he just, he was eligible in 2020. I think it's just been a log jam of players that they just put in before him. Because Wayne has been a finalist every year since 2020, including last season. So he most definitely would get in. But I think it's just been a log jam for the people they've been. Because right now, a lot of the players that are, eligible now to get into the Hall are players I remember when I was younger. And they was like, you remember, I'll basically watch their whole career. So it's like a lot of the dudes who was playing like in the early 2000s, they the ones now who, early 2000s, the teens, they the ones who are starting to enter their eligibility years for the Hall and whatnot. So it's obviously a younger group now. And I think with Wayne, during his time, there was some heavy hitters, that was eligible. So they just letting them in first. Like I say, you could tell because the dude has been literally all 6 years he's been eligible. He's been a finalist every year. So they waiting for him. They just say, hey, man, we're just going to let these other people come in first. And you would definitely he'll get that knock on the door.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, the list is great. Receiving yards, and it's a hell of a list. It still just amazes me with the Jerry Rice, because I think the most amazing stat I've seen is just a receiver leading the NFL in touchdowns. That stat is normally just reserved for a running back.
Mm-hmm.
But have a receiver do that, especially he played in an era where it was running. Oh, that's basically if no receiver can break that record now, it's unbreakable because that's all they do for the most part. It's a throwing league. I know they're trying to bring back
That's the thing that's
game.
surprising. I mean, you would think that you would have a lot more guys vying for that, but you don't have those guys as of yet. So the fact that Jerry was able to do this in the 80s and into the 90s and whatnot when it wasn't a passing league, and a lot of these guys still aren't getting there. That's surprising to me.
It just one is longevity. That shows you how great he, how the professional, and then two is just players now they just can't keep it up. I mean, they'll have a great year, and they'll get injured.
They get their money, and then they start going.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you an interesting story about Jerry Rice real quick. I was down in Mississippi State from '98 to 2001, and I used to go to the track at night, right? So during the off season, Jerry Rice used to be over working out with the players. Like it wasn't the team, but it was just players randomly football. Man, let me tell you something, man. They couldn't keep up with him at all.
Wow.
Every time he made his move, he was wide open every time.
Wow.
I used to just look at him like, and then he didn't appear that big to me when you see him in person. Like, dang, Jerry Rice ain't that big at all. But man, when I tell you he was running those routes, nobody could do it better. That's why he had his results. Nobody could run a route better than Jerry Rice. And the story, you know what I'm saying, that he came, and he lived about 10 miles outside of Mississippi State, Starksville. So
got you. Gotcha. Yeah, the only guy I would probably fault on that list is, again, Reggie Wayne. To me, he's got Frank Gore written all over him. Now, again, Frank's got the run. He's got the numbers. But is he a Hall of Famer, though? I mean, so Reggie Wayne is kind of in that category for me in terms of wide receiver. But again, I got to give him credit because I'm looking at the current list of guys right now. The only guy who's really active, I think Coach mentioned it, Mike Evans is 24th on the list. Julio Jones is basically out of the league now. He's got 13,700. DeAndre Hopkins, I know he played last year. I don't know how much he's got left in the tank, 12,965. Mike Evans has 12,684. Travis Kelce, who's 28th, has 12,151. So a lot of the guys who are current, you don't know how many years. They may have maybe a year left, but they're not getting into the top 10. At least I can't see it, coming up. So I have to give these guys credit, certainly for being, for being up there, and for Reggie Wayne, certainly to have that come out. I never would have guessed it because, again, it's like you never, like I said, Gore, you just looked up his stats and you just had, man, he had all these stats and you just didn't know, pay attention to what was going on. Marvin Harrison was clearly like the one of that wide receiver duo, and he was always like the second. So, but again, shout out to him for having a career of silent greatness, I guess. But
look at what that says about Peyton Manning, though. You got two players potentially in the top, that are in the top 10 under you being the quarterback. That says a lot for a quarterback. To me, just having two players.
That's
like
why
that's a strike against you. So you got those guys, but again, your playoff record is like 500.
But see, it ain't about the playoffs. It's about that regular season.
I'm
That's
just
what
saying.
they vote on. So
I'm just saying.
I'm just interested in that.
All right. So let's switch it up a little bit. I was thinking about this. I've been seeing these as of late, and I wanted to now, Coach. Do you have a favorite baseball team?
No,
you don't. Okay, so this may vie with you, but certainly you're free to participate. I compiled because I was seeing this link that was coming up on my feed, and they talked about all-time teams. So in baseball, they have these lineups, and you have these this Fox Sports. They put together all-time by position. And so I did a few of these, and again, I don't know, some of these teams you may not follow. I was hoping Tommy B would be here tonight because I know I actually had one for the Oakland A's that I put up. So I was wanted to just kind of talk about this a little bit. And since Shawnee, don't go anywhere, Shawnee, because you're first. So I want you to be up. Hopefully he comes back soon. But I wanted him to take a stab at this. He's been certainly a longtime fan of Houston Astros. And so, again, your thoughts on best player, but best all-time lineup. So you got these guys. Now, again, this list looks a little young to me because I remember going all the way back to, like, J.R. Richard, who used to pitch for you guys in the 70s and the early 80s before he had I remember that coach, he had, like, something happened with his arm. He broke his arm actually throwing a pitch or something, and they showed him on the mound. And he just collapsed because he broke his arm throwing. But when he was on, J.R. Richard was arguably the best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, he was one of the best.
He was bad. But again, that might have been before Shawnee's time. So again, a lot of these guys seem pretty, But Jeff Bagwell played in the 90s and whatnot. So how do you like this list? Do you like the list of guys by position, players by position? And is there anyone you take out of this lineup based on position? So it's any Astro from any era, and who you putting up here, or are you comfortable with this list?
For starting pitcher, I may have to put Verlander. I think he won 2 Cy Youngs with the Astros. I know he won one in 2019. I'm trying to see if he won one. I know he won at least one.
Mm-hmm.
I think O's won a Cy Young with the team as well. But I may put Verlander there. Altuve, yeah, as a DH, because Craig Biggio was a better second baseman, but I think Altuve ultimately is a better hitter, even though Craig Biggio was a hell of a hitter himself.
Right.
But Altuve, the stuff he's been doing,
Right.
he's incredibly clutch. Lance Berkman, yeah, he deserves out there. Those three, the outfielders, I have no problem with them being up there. The infielders, Bagwell, no brainer as first baseman. Correa, definitely shortstop, because he's clutch himself. And then they went to get him back and before the trade deadline this year, so they brought him back. Bregman as a third baseman, yeah, the only one I can think of is Cam Minetti, and Bregman is, I guess, better than him. Brad Ausmus as a catcher, yes. Mainly because he was a defensive catcher and the way he, because in baseball, the catcher is the quarterback, and he calls out the defensive, if it's not the manager in the dugout, it's the catcher. So he comes up with the strategy for the pitchers and whatnot. And Ausmus, that's why he was a big league manager. He was very smart, very cerebral. I still remember there was a video one time. There was before a game, and he was going over the opposing team's roster and they lineup, and just how all the pitchers was literally just sitting there, just shutting up, just listening to Ausmus, like they were listening to a grandpa telling the stories behind the grandpa. They wasn't saying a thing. They were so focused on what Ausmus was saying.
Right.
That's the type of respect he had with that team because of his leadership. Billy Wagner, obviously he just made the Hall of Fame. As a relief pitcher, yeah, I got no problem with that.
All right, so for the most part, you're good with the entire list. Now, again, you might have been too young for like Cesar Cedeno, Jose Cruz. I don't know. Are these guys like retired? I don't know if Astros, if they retired numbers and whatnot. Are these guys?
I believe
as far as
they
OGs,
yeah. They Cesar Cedeno, you don't really hear too much. You definitely hear about Cruz. Houston still love Cruz, but Cedeno, I think they may have, but I don't. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to think of the Astros, whatever type of ring of honor they have up there. But I think Cruz' number's been retired. I gotta look at Cedeno.
Yeah. All right. Shout out to, again, Lost in Translation. Thank you for hopping on through tonight. And Andre Terry, Fly Eagles Fly. Good luck with your season, certainly this year, to defend your title. So again, no hate there, but good that you came through tonight. So we're talking about all-time lineup. So again, I just got a few teams here. This one, since as you guys know, I am a Yankees fan, and obviously there's a lot of history here. So again, they got certainly the outfield. They got the immortals, so to speak, Ruth, Mantle, and DiMaggio. That's going to be pretty hard to get rid of. Third base, Alex Rodriguez. Lou Gehrig, first base. The only guy I would probably put out of this, and I know it'd be sacrilege by today's standards, I'm taking out Aaron Judge, and I'm putting in Reggie Jackson. If you want to talk about Mr. October, again, where it matters, he was only with the Yankees for 5 years, but Mr. October delivered in the big moments, whereas compared to last year's World Series, I didn't even see Aaron Judge. So again, yes, he'll hit 50, 60 home runs in the regular season. Yes, he's a bad boy, but where it matters, give me Reggie. Reggie's my favorite baseball player of all time. I got a 44 jersey, and so I'm definitely going to be rocking. That jersey more times than not. As far as the pitchers, Yogi Berra, 10-time All-Star. Again, some of these guys I didn't see, but the numbers are the numbers, and I do recognize that a lot of these guys played before there were black baseball players in baseball. I don't think too many people are going to argue over that. Willie Randolph, I've actually met Willie a couple times. Actually, he supports the local Double A ball club down here. As far as second base, yeah, I mean, not crazy with the bat, but certainly a reliable near 300 hitter, and he would always clutch at second base. So I got no problem with the list, but I would remove Judge. Yeah, again, until he produces in the postseason, I'm keeping Reggie Jackson in the starting lineup. So again, Coach, I don't know how familiar you are with Yankees and whatnot. Is there any comments on this list? And Shawnee, I don't know how much you follow, but yeah, any comments on this before I move on to the next team?
Alex Rodriguez, I don't know how he made it. Maybe because of the home runs. I would connect him more to Seattle. But yeah, I would put Reggie Jackson there. Yeah, over Aaron Judge. That's about the only change I could see.
Yeah, I mean, third base. I know Craig Nettles won a couple championships with the Yankees in the 70s and whatnot. Great third baseman. I mean, the highlight reel third baseman. But if you're going to give me Alex at third, who actually was, and the thing was, Alex might have been better at second, but Derek Jeter was already institution there because again, before he came to the Yankees, he played second base also. So again, I could have so I could have switched him out with Jeter. Because people were saying, is Jeter or A-Rod better? I mean, that was the I'm like, come on, man. Dude's going to hit over 600 home runs. So, but again, Jeter, Mr. Clutch, his 3,000 hit was a home run. So he played the narrative very well. So again, I got to give credit to Jeter. I'm not going to move him out of that spot. But if you was going to ask me who's a better second baseman overall, give me A-Rod. But again, Jeter also had better postseason. I mean, he was as clutch in the postseason as Reggie was in his day. So I would certainly give him the nod over that.
Well, I remember when A-Rod was with Seattle, being a shortstop with them, people was comparing A-Rod and Jeter. And I think even Jeter mentioned that A-Rod was a better ball player. But Jeter was the winner. Jeter was the leader. Jeter, because they was getting compared, and A-Rod was actually kind of talking a little bit and kind of rubbed Jeter the wrong way. Mm-hmm. And that's why there was there was kind of some friction between the two, and then obviously they had to put whatever that was aside when they became teammates. But when A-Rod was in Seattle, A-Rod, he talked a little bit. Cause I believe somebody asked him a question, and A-Rod, full of confidence. Cause remember, when A-Rod was Seattle, he was that dude. That dude, he was a cold baseball player. So they was trying to compare him and Jeter, and A-Rod. I forgot exactly what he said, but he was like, Jeter not really on my level per se. And he kind of wasn't. He wasn't lying. A-Rod was the better ball player.
Yeah.
Except sure. Jeter had the intangibles. That's why now if you look as Yankee, it's Jeter, but he's the captain. You can't say, let somebody say a negative thing about Jeter.
Yeah, he's untouchable in New York. So I mean, yeah, that's like, yeah, you don't mess with. But
my thing, when I'm looking at what you was mentioning about Judge, I don't have a problem with Judge there as a DH because Judge is he's an incredible offensive player. I know he struggles at times in the postseason, but I think with Judge, because Judge he always, for the most part, since he's been a Yankee, he always had this huge expectations on his shoulders, because if you think about the other greats, one thing about the Yankees, when they was winning their titles, they had great teams. They was like multiple Hall of Famers at the time when these dudes were playing. Mm-hmm. Jeter didn't have to always carry it. As great as a player and a leader Jeter was, he didn't have that weight on him because he had at least one or two fellow Hall of Fame players on his squad. Judge, He had other great players, good players, but I don't think he had other great players that played with him. So he always had this weight, like expectations. Like when they make it to the playoffs, people just looking at Judge. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? And with the other players on there, it wasn't the Yankees in the way back in the day had Murderers Row. So that's just how they were back then, and I don't think it's no secret during Judge's time they haven't won a World Series since 2009. They just didn't have this collection of just elite talent that they was known to have. And they were the Yankees. They have 26 banners. They had multiple Hall of Famers seem like on their squad every damn year. But with Judge, it's just Judge. Now I know he got Stanton, but you got to see if Stanton can stay healthy.
Stanton, and he had the guy from who went to the Mets.
That could have been you talking about Soto.
Yeah,
that could have been potentially, but it was a rental, and obviously he didn't stay there. So for the most part, it's just been Judge and the Yankees. And that's basically during Judge's time, it's been Judge and the Yankees. But with them other players, even as great as Jeter was, they still brought another Hall of Fame player, even though I don't know if he's going to get in or not. With A-Rod, then you had Mariano Rivera, who people believe may be the greatest relief pitcher of all time. But you have these other bona fide Hall of Fame players on your team, so you didn't have to carry that weight that Judge, he has to.
Yeah. We could just do one more, and then we can start winding down the show now. Mandrell, now you come in talking mess on the win, but I'm going to give you a challenge now. So in 2 weeks, we all know that the Canelo-Crawford fight, September 13th, is going to be on. We're going to do a big preview show and talk boxing that week. So rather than you just being in the back talking some nonsense, I expect you to be a part of that conversation when we talk about fight week coming up. So don't be talking now. I'm calling you out. Be on the show the week of the week of the fight, and we'll dedicate the whole show to boxing and to the state of boxing, the predictions for the fight, and anything else you want to talk about boxing wise. So that's my personal challenge to you is to show up at that particular time.
I got something to say. Okay, so this fight is going to be on Netflix. Many households today have Netflix.
Yeah.
If you already a Netflix subscriber, you can watch the fight. You'll be eligible to watch the fight. But this is a major fight. This is a blockbuster fight. There's a good chance many people have Netflix already at their home, but do you feel like this is the type of fight that you should leave the house and go to like a local sports bar to watch? You may have Netflix, you can easily watch it from home, but this is a mega fight that we don't get to see too much like this.
Well, see, back in the day, I used to throw fight parties. The thing then was the fight party. So someone would order the pay-per-view. You would get about 8, 9, 10, 12 guys over there. Someone would order pizza. Someone would do burgers, hot dogs, whatever. We would just make a big party out of it. So again, I'm used to that. The last time I've been to a pub or whatever where they had boxing on and it was like a major event. This was the original Evander Holyfield versus Riddick Bowe fight, the first one. So this is the one where I think the guy was the guy parachutes into the ring or something like that. I think it was that fight. But that was the only one I saw live, and it was a good experience. But since then, I hadn't seen a lot of bars or sports restaurants and whatnot cover boxing to that degree. They might have done it with the Pacquiao fight, but another thing that's also happening on the boxing landscape, I'll talk about it briefly, is that from what I understand, pay-per-view is supposed to be going away. That Sheik out of the Middle East, he's definitely putting a lot of pressure and weight because guys don't want to be spending $80, $90 on a pay-per-view that's no good. So I think the Netflix cloud, I don't believe that there's a charge. I'll confirm that prior to fight week, but I think the whole idea is to get rid of pay-per-view altogether. So that would certainly help out not only them but also with the establishments buying the pay-per-view and showing. Because at the same time, I don't know how it works now with if you buy the pay-per-view, are you allowed to show it in public places like that? Because again, I know back then they would charge you extra to get in certain places to see the fight. So you pay back then $50 for the fight, but you can charge $10 a head to go see the fight. So I don't know. That gets a little tricky for me when it comes to how some of these places, the legality of these sports bars or whatnot being able to show.
Yeah, you can just walk in. I watched.
Yeah.
Me and Dante went to go watch some big fights there. I mean, you may not be you may have to stand up and watch it, but you can watch it for free at Dave and Buster's.
Yeah. So again, that's interesting. I may consider that. But like I said, usually the idea is get some guys over. Let's get some pizza, and let's watch the fight. So Mandrell, you said you'd be there. I'm gonna hold you to that, so we'll talk about the state of boxing and give our predictions and analysis on the fight, which is certainly one of the larger fights, certainly. Because initially it's interesting when it was booked, I didn't think it would be that good because I know Canelo, he's been fighting a lot of guys, have been moving up. I think the fight's been built up nicely. I think it's getting a lot of crossover appeal. I mean, Canelo's already a huge star, so he's going to get the Latin American and Mexican crowd into it. And but I think it's certainly going to get a lot of recognition. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But one more I thought about. Again, I'm not an expert on the Pirates. I was kind of sort of in and out with the Pirates, and some of these guys I'm not familiar with. The only thing when I saw this list, the only thing I was skeptical about, and Coach, again, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Dave Parker, why isn't he on this? Certainly, as far as outfield, why he's or DH, why he's in here? I'll never know. I mean, the guy, when he was in the league, he was devastating. He was part of that 1979 World Series team. Willie Stargell pops. He was on his way out. But Parker might have been the best, had the best arm. You guys talk about Bo Jackson throwing a guy out from third base. When a Dave Parker had a howitzer of an arm, 5-tool type of player. And why he's not on this list here, I think it's, but again, it took him so long to get into the Hall as well. But he should have been. He's one of those guys who should have been in a long time ago. So, Coach, you might want to speak to this. Again, not sure how if he followed the Pirates, but again, no Dave Parker on this list is sus to me. But what's your thoughts on?
Dave Parker's one of my all-time Pirates.
Yeah, man.
When I was playing, I think it was 78, 79 one year. I think it was 79. Might have been the year that they won it in baseball
79, yeah.
And I played for the Steelers that year. We won it too, and we went undefeated. So I kept up with the Steelers from that point on. But Dave Parker, to me, was, man, I don't know, them 4 or 5 years he had with Pittsburgh, I thought he was the best baseball player in the league every year, the way he was playing, man. So surprised he's not on their all-time list.
Yeah.
I mean, but
yeah, this one kind of threw me back a little bit, especially with him just getting the Hall of Fame.
What position did he play? Did he play outfield?
He was out right field.
Yeah. Well,
so I know Kiner, Ralph Kiner. He had a bunch of home runs though. I got to give it to him. Ralph Kiner, he was a big home run hitter. And interesting because he worked for the Mets afterwards. He had Kiner's Corner that used to come on all the time. So I remember his segments and whatnot. But this last one here for the Mets, again, I don't have a huge problem with it. The only thing I know Mike Piazza came from the Dodgers, was a big star in L.A., and then certainly was a big star here in New York. But I may be tempted. Gary Carter won your World Series with Gary Carter, came from the Expos, very good for a very long time, Hall of Famer. I may want to put him in and swap out Mike Piazza's spot here. I know he was a big offensive guy, and I still don't think he's a Hall of Famer as of yet. I'm not sure if he will get in. He's a very good player, but Gary Carter is a Hall of Famer. So I may want to make that move and swap him out for Gary Carter. That's my only commentary I think I'll have here. I know that Hank Aaron, I think he might have played for the Mets towards the end of. No, I'm sorry, Willie Mays played for the Mets, but again, we all know he cut his bread in San Francisco. Well, first of all, with the Brooklyn, not the Brooklyn Dodgers, the Giants, and then they moved to San Francisco. So he basically cut his bones there. So he's certainly on the all-time Giants list. I'm not going to put him on. I'm not going to put him on this one, but yeah, I would say Gary Carter over Mike Piazza. That'd be the only switch I would have here. So I don't know, Sean, if you were old enough to certainly remember Gary Carter, or what you saw from Mike Piazza, but that'd be my only change here. But so, Coach, you might be more familiar. If you have any comments on this, then we can start to close this down. Coach, any commentary on this one?
My bad. I'm surprised, Doc Gooden ain't on this list, of course, man. But yeah, as far as the Mets, Darryl Strawberry, yeah, I really don't have. Yeah, I don't really have to. I'm just, Tom Seaver, he did have a lot of great years. What about what's his name? Fernando Valenzuela.
Well, he was with the Dodgers.
Oh, but who did they have? The Mets had somebody, though. I forget. I used to follow the Mets back in the 70s, but I couldn't tell you who they
had. Yeah. They had Dave Kingman. He was a big home run guy. He did a lot, but he was mostly like a DH. Speaking of that, just real quick, I know you guys are. I know Shawnee's definitely a baseball fan. Your opinion of the DH? Do you think that? Are you a fan of it? And would you want the NL to drop the pitcher thing, or you just think that's just a distinction of the National League that you would rather keep? Are you old school like that, or would you just like to see everything go to the DH? Have both leagues have the DH?
I like the DH spot. I guess teams, pretty much when the pitcher was coming to bat, it's almost like a guaranteed out.
Yeah,
they just happen to be good with the bat or be very good bunters. But I don't mind a DH spot at all. I mean, it adds the potential of more offense. Because right now, what is it? NL is still pitchers, but when they play in an AL ballpark, they can have a DH.
Correct.
So they done modified it a little bit for that. But yeah, I don't mind a DH at all now, because in the Astros, back when they made the World Series in 2004, they was an NL team, so they didn't have DHs. And then obviously now they're an AL team, and many, usually like now you've been playing with a lot of DHs. DHs generally will be very good hitters. Some teams be having very good hitters. Yeah, but I don't mind the DH spot at all. I think with baseball, just people just want baseball to be so old school. I mean, so old school. I really don't. I'm like, what's the point? Would you want to see a pitcher at the plate? I mean, what are you gonna do? He's just gonna strike out. If you want to see a bunt, okay, a DH can bunt. So I don't hear pitchers complaining.
Yeah, I hear that.
Unless I remember what's his name? He pitched for the Astros for a little bit. He was very basically antisocial. Zach, what's his last name? He was like, man, I like hitting. He was actually a pretty good hitter too for a pitcher. I think he'll be a Hall of Famer, but I forgot his name. But Greinke, Zach Greinke.
Okay.
He had a personality like man, what's wrong with you? Because he was kind of, he always kind of came off as antisocial. But yeah, he was actually a good hitter for a pitcher. You take him lightly, he'll send that thing over the fence.
Yeah, I hear you. We got Tommy B. Finally, glad you made it towards the end of the show. while you're here, I might as well give this one to you then. So again, we've been sort of chopping it up. Obviously, we can't wait for football season to start. I know you're excited about the Kenny Pickett trade to the Raiders. That was the only news I was. I was like, man. But I'll give you the floor since we're winding down the show. I'll give you the floor. The state of the Raiders, your team this year. What are you thinking about your rookie running back? And then I will give you the floor for the last segment. We've been going over baseball teams, and I know since you're a big Oakland guy, so I'll give the last question to you in terms of all-time lineups. But what's going on with you, sir? Good, glad that you're on. And if you want to talk a minute on the state of your Raiders, go ahead.
Quarterback, we all right. He's passable. I think Genty probably could get Rookie of the Year, depending on how the line block. Thornton Jr. is a sleeper. I've been telling people about 6'5", run a 4.3. Been nice in camp. They just picked up Amari Cooper.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
trading. What am I fucking? Well, I can't think of his name right now. Jacoby. They said they're not trading him. So the receiving core looks solid. Jack Beck in there too. So offensively, we look nice. Defensively, it's questionable, especially with Wilkins getting dropped. That was kind of a blow. We got a Ricky Porter out there. So a lot of people was high on them. And then they turned Jamal Adams into a linebacker. Jamal Adams, that was the safety from Seattle.
Yeah. He played for the. I think he played for the Jets also, right? Yeah.
Huh?
I think he started with the Jets, I believe, right?
He did.
Yeah. He went to the Jets. But yeah, so I think it's going to be an interesting season. I think bare minimum we're going to be competitive, especially when you got Pete Carroll. We still got our defense coordinator from last year, which I liked him a lot. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. You never know with the Raiders, though. So, I don't hold my breath anymore for that.
I hear you. All right. So for this last segment, before you came on, we were talking about. I came across these all-time lineups for various baseball teams. So I'm a big Yankee fan, obviously, Shawnee with Houston. So they had one here that I saw also for Oakland, for the Oakland A's. And so this is basically from Fox Sports, their all-time starting lineup. So since you're from the Bay Area, I'm sure you're familiar with this team. How do you like their selection? Anybody who you would swap out? Now, again, the fact that they got Reggie. Now, I wanted Reggie for the Yankees because I would say I would take at DH. I would take Reggie over Aaron Judge, especially in the postseason. But that's just me. But obviously, they have Reggie as a part of the mix with the A's. But any thoughts on this lineup? Anybody you would replace? You good with it?
No, that's pretty good, to be honest with you. The manager, I don't know, dog. I don't know him.
Yeah, well, no, your guy who was there for La Russa. I mean,
I know La Russa.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or even the guy who was the manager when they won 3 back to back in 73 to 74, 72 to 74.
Shit, what's his name?
Wasn't a guy he?
Right
yeah, but I mean, I would think that guy would get some play, but
yeah. I'm not. I don't even know the story of him right there. That might go back to the Philadelphia days. To be honest.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
But no, that's a solid lineup. I'm trying to think in my head if I replace anybody, but that's a pretty good for the A's. That's a pretty good lineup.
Yeah, for sure. Then the Eckersley is your closer. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, Eckersley for sure. Yeah, and then Catfish on the mound. Yeah. Yeah, I can't be mad at that. Yeah,
for real. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of these as of late. Oh, one other thing, want to get your comments on. So we talked about Hall of Fame type stuff. I like to bring up. So I know we talked about the wide receiver list. So we got these guys. If I could find that one, where is it? This guy here. So again, so we got these are the top 10 wide receivers, and a couple of these guys are not in the Hall. So again, Steve Smith's not in the Hall, Reggie Wayne's not in the Hall, and Reggie's been on the ballot for a minute. My thing is, does he belong in the Hall based on numbers, or what is your Hall of Fame criteria? Do you go by eye test? Do you go by stats? Do you go by what is your criteria? Because Reggie Wayne to me is like a Frank Gore to me. You know, he compiled a lot of yards over time, but I'm not going to say he's a Hall of Famer. Now, Steve Smith was a dog. I mean, for his height, his size, he was like the toughest guy at wide receiver. He played like a linebacker at wide receiver. So, I mean, Pitbull, you know, that he's like the epitome of that. So I will put him in just the ferocity which he played with in the league. So I think he should be a lock to get in. Why he's not in already, I don't know. But I would definitely put him in over the other guys. And last year, they only put in 4 guys. This year, they only put 4 guys in the Hall. Yeah. So I'm thinking if they were going to add other guys, they could have added certainly Steve Smith to this, if not Reggie Wayne. I don't necessarily want to put Reggie Wayne as a Hall of Famer. I'm just like compilers.
When you say Hall of Famer, it should just kind of pop.
Yeah.
If you got any kind of hesitation.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably enough.
Yep.
So I agree with you. Like you said, like Reggie Wayne was a hell of a ball player, but it just, I don't know why it doesn't pop, but it's like Reggie Wayne was looked at as like good, not necessarily great.
Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart. Yeah,
Dave Stewart was beast too.
But who do you replace? Eckersley or Catfish?
Yeah.
I don't know if you replaced anyone with Dave Stewart.
And his career got kind of cut down a little bit, didn't it? He had an injury or something, and he was never the same after that. But 87, 86 to 88, 89, yeah. I mean, he had that stare on the mound that everybody used to talk about. Mm-hmm. And but after he got hurt, he was never the same player after that. So it was very unfortunate.
But I think that's the only one on the list that I would probably kind of look at a certain way. I did see this list myself, and the first thing I thought about was Tim Brown being there with the list of quarterbacks he had to play with, and him still being there.
Yeah,
I'd always tell people all the time he's super underrated.
Yeah,
because he had to play with absolute garbage and still put up numbers.
Right.
That reminded me of DeAndre Hopkins. He was the same way. And some players, when your quarterback situation is like literally a revolving door, and you still pulling up elite numbers.
We've been riding with Billy Joe Hobart. I remember Billy Joe Hobart being our starter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Steve Smith was, like I said, a giant. Played like he was 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
And like I said, he might have been like the fear guy. Took nothing from anybody. I mean, it's like he's like one of those guys you would want him on your team. You know,
ultimate football player.
100%. But we're coming up towards the end of the show, so we're gonna land this plane, Tommy. In a couple weeks, I don't know if you're into boxing. Couple weeks, we're gonna do a show. Is that me? Is that okay? So as I said, Tommy, in a couple weeks, we're going to do a boxing preview. So obviously we got the Crawford Canelo fight coming up. So again, if you want to be a part of that conversation, we're going to have Mandrell, who promised to be here. So again, Mandrell's going to be on the show. So we're going to talk some boxing leading up that week. So again, if you're into that, so we could chop it up and do some boxing. I also like to do dream matchups. So I like to get like guys from back in the day who fight who would win, that sort of thing. So we may do some of that. So that's 2 weeks. That's the 10th. We'll do a boxing show and a preview. So again, you're more than welcome to come back and be a part of that. Be a part of that conversation as well. But that we're at the end of the show. So final thoughts. So again, Tommy, if anything you want to say, or you want to hype your channel, anything what you're doing, certainly you can give a shout out.
I'm excited that our football season is back, and I want people to help Shedeur out, man. I just want people to just relax. The noise is killing that boy.
Yeah.
I just want people to just chill. And it frustrates me because I'm rooting for him. And again, like when you're in the role of a backup, I know what what they're looking at. And, you know, when your coach is at the podium answering questions about you and you're a backup, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault. It's why I'm frustrated. Like, he's not necessarily doing anything besides, like, the speeding tickets. It's this, you know, they're outraged by every single decision made. And it's just like, that's only going to hurt him.
Absolutely. Shawnee, any final thoughts before we close out?
Well, one, I agree with Tommy 100%. I mean, I think people just sometimes they think they know more than the coaches, and the coaches are the one that deal with them every day. You know, fans just follow the trend, basically. We all understood. Many of us already agree that Sanders should have been drafted higher when it comes to the past quarterback class. Now, if it was next year or it was a different story. But this past draft class, we believe that he should have drafted higher. But after that, it's the Browns' decision now. And they the one who practice. I'm pretty sure they want to put the best player on the field. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm like, even if he don't play this year, okay, he's a rookie. Okay, many of us believe, okay, if you sit down the first year, that could be a great thing for you, man. Learn. He's going to get his time to shine as long as he gets his time to shine. Now, if he just keeps getting thrown around, nobody want to give him a shot, a legit chance to play and show what he can do, then, okay, y'all can raise hell. Right now, you know, let the team run the team. But my main final thought is this. If you haven't seen it, man, go watch the Cowboys documentary on Netflix. I know a lot of people, because of the Cowboys, they may turn they nose up on it, but it's a hell of a documentary.
It was good, Shotty. It was I watched all the episodes. It was good.
Now, Tommy, did you see Skip Bayless? He had a post where he talks about Jimmy Johnson being overrated. He kind of spills the tea on a lot of that Cowboys history. I would say definitely watch the Netflix, but then watch that piece also. Yeah, I don't know why man like that.
Is that on his channel?
Yeah.
On his YouTube channel, I believe.
Yeah, YouTube channel. Yeah.
The thing that I heard was missing was that Jimmy Johnson didn't get enough credit because essentially the Herschel Walker thing was all his idea. It wasn't Jerry's. And so I seen an interview with the guy that actually wrote the book that I think this is kind of based off of or whatever. Yeah. And that's what he talked about. He said because the one part that I learned about was that Herschel Walker trade was them getting the 5 guys, and if they cut them by a certain time, they get picked. I did not know that. I was like, wow.
That's why they call it the Great Train Robbery, because of that.
Yeah. That shit. I was like, that was highway robbery.
It was a masterpiece.
Yeah. Coach, I'm going to have you close out the show. You last one.
No, man, great show, man. Listen, man, this time, man, I know y'all counting down the days, man. Just give y'all a little side note, man. Old Coach Ferg, I was in a push-up contest the other day with some dudes about Tommy's age. Just to let you know, I won the contest with 110 push-ups. Salute to the old heads, man. We whooping y'all young niggas' butt. So get in line and learn, man. Get your chests up, young guys. Get your chests up. Salute, man, for real, man. Y'all get ready, man. Don't be yelling at the TV the first week. Relax. You know, let the Raiders lose by 20 and the Texans barely make it in Pittsburgh. We don't know. But, yeah, man, don't y'all be mad come next week talking about, oh, man, what happened? No, man.
Well, we still got another week before kickoff, so again we'll have another show before then, so it's all good. But I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Again, my guy Anton is always big Ruck 77. Good to have you here tonight as well. Thank you for participating. But just make sure you hit the like button on the way out. And until we see you next week, same time, same channel. This is the Black Man Unfiltered Network. You guys take care. God bless. We will see you next time. Good night.